Before men wrote their histories, they feared these names, not because they were worshipped, because they were real. Welcome, traveler. This is the Myth Wanderer. I have walked through fire and shadow. I have stood where the living end and where gods begin. But tonight, I do not tell a story. I return to it. This is my archive, not of myths, but of memory. Every name here has been spoken before. Every page has been lived, and some should never have been opened again. The next book smells of sand and sacred oil. I reach for the book. The leather is warm. Hieroglyphs pulse with amber light beneath my fingers. The language of eternity, 15 gods, born from the waters of chaos, keepers of the sun's path, judges of the human heart. Turn the pages with me. The desert remembers everything. Heat, blinding, absolute heat. Ra, the sun itself given form and will. Before anything existed, Ra spoke himself into being from the waters of chaos. With his first word, light was born. Every morning he boards his solar bark and sails across the sky. Every night he descends into the Duat and battles the chaos serpent Apophis in 12 hours of darkness. If Ra loses, the sun never rises. The world ends. But Ra has never lost. He is old now, older than age itself. The other gods have schemed for his secret name, his hidden power. Isis tricked it from him, but still he sails, still he fights. Ra understands that creation is not a single act. It is a daily war against the void, and the sun must rise. It must always rise. Green, the color of life growing from death. Osiris, lord of the underworld, judge of the dead, the first god to die. His brother Set tore him apart and scattered his body across Egypt. 14 pieces. His wife Isis found everyone and reassembled him. She breathed life back into his body long enough to conceive Horus. But Osiris did not return to the world of the living. He descended and became the king of the dead. Now every soul stands before him. He watches as their heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at. If the heart is light, paradise. If heavy, oblivion. Osiris does not punish with anger. He judges with compassion, because he knows what death feels like. He is proof that endings are not final, that from the dead earth the grain still rises. Isis, the greatest sorceress in all of creation, wife of Osiris, mother of Horus, the goddess who tricked Ra himself into revealing his secret name. She is every mother who fights for her child, every wife who refuses to let death win. When Set scattered Osiris, Isis searched every corner of Egypt. She reassembled her husband piece by piece. She breathed life into him with her wings. She conceived Horus in defiance of death itself. Then she hid her infant son in the papyrus marshes and raised him in secret until he was strong enough to claim his throne. Isis does not wait for heroes. She creates them. Her magic is not spectacle. It is survival. The power to heal what is broken, to find what is lost, to resurrect what has fallen. Every throne in Egypt sits on her name, and she never lets them forget it. A screech tears across the sky. Horus, the Avenger, son of Osiris and Isis, born in hiding, raised for one purpose, to reclaim his father's throne from his murderous uncle Set. Their war lasted 80 years, 80 years of battles, trials, and transformations. Horus lost his eye. Set lost far more. His right eye is the sun, his left eye is the moon. When he soars above the Nile, his wings stretch from horizon to horizon. Every pharaoh who ever sat on the throne of Egypt was considered his living incarnation. He is the protector of the living, as his father is the ruler of the dead. Justice does not always come quickly. Sometimes it takes 80 years. But Horus is proof that it always comes. Set, god of chaos, of the red desert, of storms that strip flesh from bone. He is the villain of every story and the hero of one. Every night, It is Set who stands at the prow of Ra's solar bark and fights the chaos serpent Apophis. Without Set, Ra would fall, the sun would die, creation would end. But Set is also the god who murdered his own brother, who scattered his body, who warred with Horus for 80 years. He is necessary evil given divine form. The desert is merciless, but it defines Egypt's borders. The storm destroys, but it clears the air. Set is the god the Egyptians feared, respected, and could never fully condemn, because they understood something most civilizations deny. Chaos is not the enemy of order. It is the force that tests whether order is strong enough to survive. Balance, perfect, absolute balance. Maat. She is not merely a goddess. She is the principle upon which all of Egyptian civilization was built. Truth, justice, cosmic order. Without Maat, the Nile does not flood. The seasons do not turn. The stars do not move. She existed before the gods and will exist after them. Her feather is the measure of every human soul. In the hall of judgment, the heart is placed on one side of the scales, her feather on the other. If the heart is lighter, paradise. If heavier, oblivion. No argument, no appeal, only truth. Pharaohs offered Maat to the gods as the highest gift, because without her, power is just violence and law is just control. She is the quiet standard that everything is measured against, and she never tips the scales. Thoth, god of writing, of wisdom, of the moon, of time, of everything that separates civilization from chaos. He invented hieroglyphs. He invented mathematics. He invented medicine. He taught humanity how to record their thoughts, and thereby made memory eternal. He serves as the scribe of the gods, recording every judgment in the hall of the dead. His record is perfect. He has never made an error. He gambled with the moon and won 5 extra days for the calendar. He mediates when gods quarrel. He does not fight with weapons. He fights with knowledge, and knowledge once written cannot be unwritten. Thoth gave humanity the power to outlive their bodies, the power of the written word. Every scroll, every inscription, every prayer carved in stone carries his gift. The air changes. Incense and something deeper, something final. Anubis, guardian of the dead, guide of souls, the jackal-headed god who stands between the world you know and the world that comes after. He invented mummification. He prepared the body of Osiris himself, the first mummy, and in doing so created the ritual that would define Egyptian death for 3,000 years. He leads every soul through the darkness of the Duat. He places the heart on the scales. He watches the weighing with golden jackal eyes that miss nothing. He does not judge. That is Osiris's role. Anubis ensures the process is honest. If you are afraid of what comes after death, Anubis is the hand in the dark that says, "Follow me. I know the way." Music. The page vibrates with it. Hathor, goddess of love, beauty, music, dance, and joy. The golden one, the eye of Ra. When the sun god grew old and weary, Hathor danced for him, and her joy was so infectious that even the creator of the universe laughed. She is the mother who nurses the pharaoh, the lover who fills the heart, the musician whose sistrum drives away evil. But Hathor has another face. When Ra sent her to punish humanity, she became Sekhmet and nearly destroyed the world. They tricked her with beer dyed red as blood. The most joyful goddess is also the most dangerous when joy turns to wrath. Hathor is the reminder that love and destruction live in the same heart. The hand that caresses can also crush. She chooses joy, but the choice is always hers. Fire, not the creative fire of Ra, the consuming fire that leaves nothing. Sekhmet, the powerful one. Hathor's rage given separate form. When Ra sent her to punish humanity, she waded through blood and could not stop. The Nile ran red. The gods were terrified. They brewed 7,000 jars of beer dyed with pomegranate and poured it across her path. She drank it all and collapsed into sleep. But Sekhmet never disappeared. She became the goddess of war, of plague, of the desert wind that kills, and paradoxically, the goddess of healing. Because the Egyptians understood that the force which destroys also has the power to cure. Her priests were the greatest physicians in the ancient world. Sekhmet is the fever that breaks, the fire that cauterizes, the destruction that precedes every recovery. Bastet, daughter of Ra, guardian of the home, defender of women and children, the goddess of every cat that has ever deigned to live with humanity. She is the domestic face of divine feline power. Where Sekhmet is the raging lion, Bastet is the watchful house cat. But make no mistake, a house cat is still a predator. Bastet protects homes from evil spirits, venomous snakes, and disease. The Egyptians loved their cats so deeply that killing one, even accidentally, was punishable by death. Because in every cat they saw Bastet watching, guarding, judging. She is the warmth of the hearth and the claws in the dark, the purr that soothes and the hiss that warns. Bastet chose to be gentle, but she never forgot how to be fierce. The water stirs, something ancient surfaces. Sobek, lord of crocodiles, god of the Nile, the most primal divine power in Egypt. He rose from the dark waters of chaos at the dawn of creation, and the Nile flows because he wills it. The Egyptians kept sacred crocodiles in temple pools, adorned them with gold and jewels, and prayed that Sobek would direct his appetite toward their enemies. He is fertility, because the flood brings life. He is military power, because nothing in the river is more deadly. He is patience, because the crocodile waits and waits, then strikes with speed that defies its size. Sobek does not chase. Sobek does not hurry. He simply exists at the point where water meets land, and everything that enters his domain plays by his rules. The river provides, the river takes, and Sobek decides which. Silence before creation. Ta, the creator who speaks things into existence, not with fire like Ra, not with magic like Thoth, with thought and word. He conceived the world in his heart and brought it forth with his tongue. He is the patron of architects, sculptors, metalworkers, and every craftsman who shapes raw material into beauty. He stands in mummy form not because he is dead, but because he is so focused on creation that he needs nothing else. No movement, no distraction, just pure thought becoming reality. Memphis was his city. Every temple, every statue, every perfectly carved hieroglyph owes its existence to his inspiration. Ta is proof that the most powerful act in the universe is not destruction. It is making something from nothing. Night falls on this page. The ink is tears. Nephthys, the lady of the house, sister of Isis, sister of Osiris, wife of Set. She stands at the intersection of every tragedy in Egyptian mythology. She is married to the god who murdered her brother. She mourned Osiris alongside Isis, her grief as genuine as any widow's. She is the protector of the dead, the companion of the mummy. She stands at the head of the coffin, while Isis stands at the feet. She represents the space between sunset and sunrise, the desert edge where fertile land ends, the moment between death and what comes after. She is overlooked beside her brilliant sister. But without Nephthys, the dead have no one to grieve for them. She weeps so that others do not have to weep alone. In a world filled with power and glory, perhaps the bravest act is simply to be present in the darkness. The moon rises on this final page, cool blue after so much golden heat. Khonsu, the traveler, god of the moon, of time, of healing, and the night journey. He is perpetually young, the divine child, yet his eyes hold the wisdom of every moon that has ever risen and set. He marks time itself. The Egyptian calendar moved to his rhythm. He travels the night sky as Ra travels the day, a mirror image in blue. He protects travelers through darkness, both the literal darkness of the desert night and the darkness of illness and fear. Ancient texts describe him as a god who feasts on the hearts of other gods, terrifying power hidden behind a youthful face. Khonsu is the quiet counterpart to Ra's blazing authority, the reminder that not all power burns, some power glows, and in the darkness, that gentle glow is the only light that matters. 15 names, 15 forces that built an empire of eternity along the banks of a single river. The Egyptian gods do not promise paradise. They promise a weighing, a truth, a feather against your heart. The book closes, the sand settles, but the hieroglyphs still glow, and the archive stretches on. Until we meet again, traveler.